Sorry for any background noise. I am genuinely live from a pub in a train station for today's Grey Market Blast. Let me add the amazing Angie. Honestly, it's not my fault. I don't want to be here. I obviously don't want to be in a pub. It's just it was the closest place for me to come and have some quiet time to get on the call for you guys. Angie, how are you doing?
I am fantastic. Thank goodness it's Friday, right? What a week.
Oh yeah, what a year yesterday was.
I'm tired. We haven't even started China and the EU, so I hope y'all
Right.
have a good amount of coffee. So, did you do the
Let me
legals or are we ready
no.
to? Okay,
Let me
go
get those
ahead.
done now. So nothing discussed on this space session constitutes trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ Global Limited, Traders PIQ or PIQ Suite, or indeed the affiliates of the host, which, as you know by now, is the amazing Angie, way, and the
Woohoo!
amazing Ryan, way, woo.
Woohoo, woohoo. So, all right, well, let's rock and roll because, like I said, thank goodness it's Friday. I'm tired and I'm ready for the weekend. So yesterday was quite the day. We had talked about it in the morning, where I think you have to come into President Trump's negotiations with a little bit of a lack of what I don't know can't hurt me, even if it can, I guess. Or I don't know how to really kind of properly put it. But, one of the best pieces of advice for anyone, we talked about it yesterday, is almost ignore your weekend developments and things like that. You're getting 3 to 5 sort of headlines or different doses of information before the final one. And then, of course, this morning I added that you tend to get an escalation also right before the resolution. And I feel like if folks kind of grasp this and make it a bit of a recognition, it'll be a little easier to deal with the next 4 years. But I digressed. Biggest thing that we're paying attention to, or the biggest thing that happened yesterday, obviously, was we had a really positive conversation between Mexico's president and Trump right off the get go. It was a little bit disappointing to see he and Trudeau had talked and said that they would kind of pick up the conversation later in the day. So it was a little worrisome, especially with some of the back and forth, the saber rattling, I'll say, from Canada's side, which who could blame them? But still, it didn't look like we were really kind of on a trajectory for resolution, or at least a quick resolution, at the start of the day yesterday. But then to have Trump and Scheinbaum have a really productive conversation, to have Mexico's president come back and say that, it was basically a respectful dialogue, one that showed that the two countries are going to start to work together and cooperate with one another. And to me, that in and of itself is huge. I don't think you could have you can have quite the opposites as you could between Mexico's president and President Trump, but to see them be able to kind of communicate and work something out, even if a lot of it was stuff that they'd potentially been working on for the last few weeks, I think was positive. And the market turned around in kind. Obviously, we have some other issues to be dealing with. We've got South American weather that we're watching. We recognize that even if Mexico and Canada were to respond, they really weren't able to hit agricultural interests, or at least corn and soybean interests, as much as what folks had initially feared. And so there was the day we turned around, and now we'll talk about what China is looking at. But I'll stop there and let you ask a question.
No, no, all good, all good. I'm following you. I'm following along
Followed along at
nicely.
home. All right, good. So then, of course, now we have China. We did solve Canada, obviously, in the afternoon. Trudeau said he will implement new technology along the border, send some additional troops like Mexico will do, and work to stop organized crime, fentanyl, and some of these other things. And so we did kind of, at the end of the day, both parties agreed the 25% tariffs on our North American trade partners are going to be delayed for 30 days while we work to negotiate. So Rubio is going to be hard at work, putting his Panama magic on everything else, I would assume. Now, fast forward to China. So China's initial reaction was pretty quiet. We'd had the Wall Street Journal article yesterday morning, right? That said that they were kind of working on their opening bid, or their opening response to what Trump has been proposing from a tariff standpoint. Of course, there's a lot of talk that the 10% tariffs are way better than the 60% tariffs we were initially thinking were going to be put on. But we did see China respond in kind overnight with some of their own blowback. And so if you're just a headline person, if you're someone that's just reading headlines, you're probably like, oh, crap. But if you dig into the articles, you'll realize that they actually really weren't that toothy, I would say. I mean, obviously they're major. They're targeting crude oil. They're targeting uh, liquefied natural gas imports. We've got coal on the list, and then a handful of other things: some sedans, pickups, farm machinery. Those types of things that'll get these types of tariffs
I,
attached
th-
to them. Go ahead.
I think that's a sorry. I think that's a really good point you've raised there. Is it's very easy just to read the headlines.
Yes,
Particularly I know a kind of I'm very bad at self promotion. I think well, me and you are very very bad at self
the
promotion. But
worst.
one of the
Yeah.
things that I think the absolute worst. But the reasons we post articles and the raw headlines. And and we are one of the few people out there that, especially on the Twitter space, that post like we do. We actually own the distribution rights for Reuters articles. So I always recommend that people, if we are posting a link to the article, read the article.
Yes.
We're one of the few that post articles and just the full caps headlines. What you normally see is you get the full caps headlines, and then these are from Reuters, and then usually 10, 15 minutes later you get the articles. It's always worth reading the articles if it's a subject of interest to you, because the headlines that we see on the terminals and stuff, they very often don't tell the whole story, especially at times like this, especially when there's lots of tape bombs out
Yes.
there.
Yes, and it's super easy to, kind of read something. And like I play the game, maybe it's the English major in me, where I'll read the headlines and I'll be like, guess the author's bias by his headline. And it's kind of one of those things that you really can look at, and you want to be careful with. And so we'll be watching. Trump had said yesterday during his impromptu press conference that the tariffs on China could increase substantially if they do not kind of play ball with us. And so there was some talk. We got some saber rattling over Panama. China was kind of disappointed in some of the rhetoric surrounding the Belt and Road Initiative, which is interesting because it was only a handful of months ago we were reading about how China really wanted to walk away from the Belt and Road Initiative anyway. And so I'm going to guess that news that maybe Panama isn't looking to renew isn't as bad as what we want to make it. But we will be watching. He did say that over the next couple of days we'll be hearing the two of them will be talking. And so now here's where the rubber meets the road. Do we really see a return to phase one? Is that the conversation that we
Also,
run into, or not? Yes, go ahead.
just to remind people as well, China are off, right? They're still off on
Yes,
their
until tomorrow
holiday, like
morning
week
or
long holiday.
tonight, nine
Yeah,
nine
so
o'clock Eastern.
so there's a lot of people going, yes, everyone's got it on the countdown. So everyone's like, oh, well, China really haven't said much. It's like, yes, because basically the country's been shut
They're on
down.
vacation. Yeah, they're like, thanks for
Yeah,
ruining the new
their
year.
focus is on
Right.
fireworks right now.
That's right. And so they'll be back. They've been talking. They've got a few things going on, but yeah. So we'll be watching those developments. That's going to be the biggest focus. Obviously, there's talk about the EU and some tariffs there. We have seen the European Union pick up on some of their imports that we've seen, and so you may have some of these folks that were really kind of whipping up a lot of fear about what Mexico would do. Talk about how the EU will do the same. And one of the biggest things I want to throw out there when it comes to corn, especially right now, specifically when it comes to anyone that wants to talk about like corn, supply availability and some of these other things, or the potential of lost business in corn over the next few months, with the delay to Brazil's safrinha planting, which it does appear as though we will see weather improve in South America. That's point three. We do have one rain event in Argentina that looks to be about 10 days out that's super, super vital and needs to roll forward, to kind of say that the Argentina outlook has changed. But when we're looking at Brazil, it does look like they'll be able to get their safrinha planting underway, though it will be delayed. And the biggest thing there is we're starting to see their exporters kind of pull their offers out of the world market for August and even the start of September. And so when it comes down to it, even if we do get into some trade battles here, anyone that's really looking for corn of consequence, of size, or whatever, still has to come to the US for the next handful of months. And so that'll be something to pay attention to and watch. We need to see South American weather kind of right its ship. It does appear like the soybean crop outlook will remain around that 170 for Brazil. Still in question for Argentina. We'll see what that weather forecast brings. But yeah, all attention will be on China, Trump, and our negotiations over the next couple of days. So it'll be a good
Exactly
time.
it. And as if we planned this, which we kind of honestly we don't. Anyone that's listening and thinks we do, we really don't.
No.
I did just now put we haven't got it in us to plan it. Put it that way. I did put up in the old jumbotron, whatever we call it, on it's actually my pinned tweet as well. So yesterday, I'm finally getting around to auditing and sorting out the PIQ Twitter list that we curate. One of the main ones I got to put together is the one that Angie, her good self, has done, especially for the grey markets, but particularly for the US political markets that I've already put together. We've got two Twitter lists that anyone can subscribe to. At the moment, one of them is already on the PIQ platform. The Trump focus one is going to be on there very shortly. But basically, yeah, we all know that X Twitter is a fantastic source for news and information. However, the signal to noise ratio absolutely sucks. So
Mm-hmm.
what I've done is I've put together a US politics list, which is the main White House reporters and Trump, etc. The ones that kind of would help you stay away from the noise, and for those that are just looking for the more kind of headline esque tweets from Trump and people like him, I've made a Trump call list as well. So do check them out because if you use X/Twitter correctly, it's such a valuable resource. Unfortunately, as we all know, it's just so full of noise. So hopefully
Right.
this
It's
helps you
hard
in
to
some
do it.
way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, for
and
sure. It definitely is something I would recommend.
yeah, and and even more so when we get yours added to the makeup as well. But absolutely, and also keep tuning into spaces and listen to your good self. I won't say me. I don't really offer much, apart from a bit of comedy effect. Uh,
I will. I don't agree. I think you offer a lot, but I agree on
oh,
tuning in.
stop
We'll
it!
see what happens each morning, and yeah, today could be a good day. We don't know quite when they'll talk, when Xi and Trump will talk.
Yeah,
And so that's going to be the biggest thing. Like, and that's going to be loaded, like you said yesterday, with tape bombs.
cool.
Make sure that you keep a level head and are smart. And if you're a farmer listening to this and you were really, really sad yesterday morning when you thought you'd missed the opportunity to sell 4.90 or $5, March or May corn there, or even 4.65 December, guess what? It's back. And so you have that chance. You don't have to liquidate everything, of course. Like I've been saying, remain an engaged marketer. You don't have to be overly aggressive, but definitely remain engaged. So
Yeah.
if we can help with anything, of course, let me know.
Also, it's a shameless plug for our friends at CME, but I guess
Mm-hmm.
well, the timing for their weekly options on ag markets could be particularly beneficial at the moment if we know that kind of headlines are coming and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
there's and also I know for a fact I believe I know for a fact I believe they have got some very micro they've got some micro grain contracts coming out very soon as well.
Yeah, 500 bushels. Those are definitely a bit of a trip. It'll be an interesting thing to add
I think
into
it'll be
your risk
if
management
I know we're
toolbox.
kind of dwelling. Well, we're kind of moving off, but it's it's grain markets. We can talk about it. I think the interesting thing about this is I believe again this is more of a believe than I know. I believe this is all part of their push into the retail kind of space because
Hmm.
their argument being we've been doing this since the cows came home. We know what we're doing. Why why don't we make our own products with the micros and stuff? So it'd be a really interesting year, I think, to see what kind of products they bring out that not only benefit you guys, the marketers and the farmers, in terms of for your hedging, but also bringing in new money into the space. I think because retail don't really touch agricultural products. So it'd be interesting to see how the year develops and what a year for it to develop because I think it's going to be all over the place.
Oh, it's gonna be a it's gonna be for sure. I don't even know. I don't even have the term to say what this year will be, but I'm
It's a
excited to
family
see
show.
what we all look like at the end. Yeah, like it's we got 10 months to find out, I can tell you that. So
Oh
but
God.
yeah, it'll be a good one. So
Awesome. Well, Angie, thank you so much. The opening's coming up, so good luck to everyone. If you are out in the fields today, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
yes, we'll see ya.